I'm going to take this off. I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but I'm going to take it off anyway. Thank you for that kind introduction, Dean Shackelford. How's everybody doing? Good? Excellent. I'll be honest. I don't really like giving speeches. It's not what you may think. I don't have a phobia, I'm not nervous, or anything like that. It's because my purpose in life is to help individuals and organizations reach their respective potentials. And formal speeches usually aren't the best tools to do that. Why? Because one, it's generally one-way communication. I talk at you, some of it resonates, some of it doesn't, because it's for a general audience. It's not tailored to each individual. Two, it takes the focus off of you and puts it on me, which also does not align to my purpose. When I interact with people, I generally like to make it about them, not me. After all, every interaction you have with someone either builds them up or tears them down, either delivers energy or depletes it. The tough part is that you may not know which it is, since you aren't always aware of what that person is dealing with at that particular time. So I take these opportunities very seriously, because once that interaction happens, it's done. There are no do-overs. So I ask for your grace as I attempt to deliver the value that you deserve in a format that may not be optimally suited for it. So the first thing to understand about me is that I'm an open book. If I have knowledge or experiences that can help you reach your potential, I'm going to share it. Selfishly, however, it's not just because of my purpose, but also because we're now linked to the same brand, UNC Kenan-Flagler. The strength and meaning of this brand can either open doors for us or close them throughout our entire careers. It's therefore critical for each of us to continuously invest in this brand, both directly and indirectly, to ensure doors stay open for all of us. Thus, as alumni, it's our duty to help those who come after us become better than us, because that's partly how the brand appreciates over time. I know that's my duty, and when you all walk out of here, that becomes your duty too. So for the next 12-ish minutes, I want to share 5 principles that have helped me achieve both joy and success post-undergrad, and that I think will help you do the same. But first, let me give you a very brief background on me, just to provide context. I was born and raised in Montgomery County, Maryland. I'm blessed to have 2 lovely parents, John and Diane Clark, as well as an older brother, John Jr., a fellow Tar Heel, who, besides my dad, is the greatest man I've ever known. I followed John to Carolina in 1995, but while John had gone pre-med, I went the business route. By the time I graduated in '99, I had spent 4 summers interning at IBM, had earned an elite undergrad business degree, and had secured a coveted consulting position at Ernst & Young in Atlanta. My excitement, however, was short-lived, because 9 months later, I was laid off. A casualty of an M&A deal the firm closed that year. So there I was. New apartment, new bills, no job. Heck of a shock to the system. Of course, I spent a day wallowing in self-pity, but only a day. I got up the next morning, decided I still wanted to do consulting, and developed a plan to get the necessary skills outside of consulting so I could be a better consultant once I got back in. I figured I needed sales, problem solving, client management, and finance. So I set out to build my skill set my way. First, I did sales at IBM for 5 years. As a client manager, I was responsible for managing the client, understanding the issues, creating solutions for those issues using IBM's products and services, and then managing the cross-team implementation. I did pretty well in that role. Won some awards, made some good money, and built some of the skills I needed. Then I realized I needed to better understand how companies worked, what levers to pull at which time in which combination to get which outcomes. I also knew that I needed to understand finance, given it's the backbone of business, but unfortunately, it was also my worst and most feared subject. So I went to Wharton for my MBA and majored in finance. When I started the program, my goal was to stretch myself beyond my limits. But when I graduated, I realized I didn't have any limits to begin with. That's what changed my career trajectory. Full confidence in myself. That confidence then propelled me forward. I went to Sears Holdings to do operational restructuring for 2 years. They didn't listen to me much. And then to a straight finance job at Home Depot for another 2 years. That then gave me everything I needed to get back into consulting. I returned to EY in 2012, joined the strategy practice, and shot up from senior to senior manager in just under 4 years. We moved to the Bay Area in 2016 when my wife, Yudanda, made partner in audit. Facebook reached out 6 months later, asking me to consider building their consumer marketing operations organization. So I looked up what marketing operations was, prepared for a few weeks, killed the interview, and took the job. After I built and ran the organization for a couple years, I moved over to LinkedIn to get a better cultural fit and did strategic transformation there. Then I was poached by Intuit for the role I have now, Director of Strategic Growth Initiatives, where I'm responsible for strategic initiatives across marketing, communications, and partnerships that accelerate ecosystem growth and operational transformation. In this role, I actually use every bit of my prior experiences to be successful. So what do I want you to take away from my career journey? The first thing is that excuses are tools of the incompetent used to build bridges to nowhere. What's an excuse, you ask? It's an explanation to avoid responsibility, not to be confused with a reason, which is just why something happened. For example, an excuse would be, I haven't gotten promoted because my manager won't give me higher level projects to do. Whereas a reason would be, I haven't gotten promoted because I haven't consistently shown that I can take my existing projects to the next level. One is unproductive, giving you no path to a solution, essentially putting you nowhere. The other is productive, giving you actions you can take to achieve your goal. Do you see the difference? Nod? Yes? Okay. Listen, folks, you own your careers. No one else. Not the company, not your manager, not your parents, you. You will take your career as far as you decide to go. So be thoughtful about your career planning and take it seriously. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Now, I know you all have endured challenges that the rest of us did not. And I am so very sorry for that. However, I'm here to give you the reality about what you're walking into. I know this sounds callous, but nobody's gonna care that your experience was negatively impacted by the pandemic. Care in the sense of giving you a pass on meeting the expectations of your jobs. Why? Because everyone's life was negatively impacted by the pandemic. Now, they'll be sympathetic, but there won't be any pandemic asterisks on your annual performance reviews. You've got to do your work. You've got to do your best. You have to work in a smart way, and you have to deliver results. Focus on the unique capabilities you built as a result of this experience and use those to your advantage. But let me be clear though, by all means, please take care of your mental and physical health. The mere fact of your being here shows how much potential you have. So if you're struggling with anything, get the help that you need to be your best self. You won't be able to do your best if you're not at your best, which takes me to the second principle. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There's only life, and work either fits in or it doesn't. This is something that one of my mentors from EY, Shel Smith, always said. Side note, later tonight, Google Shel Smith, C-H-E-L-L Smith, frickin' force of nature. Anyway, I didn't really understand what she was talking about until Udanda and I had kids. The reason I left strategy consulting for Facebook at that particular time was because Udanda started traveling more as a partner. And two parents who traveled for work just didn't fit into the life that we wanted to have. So since I had more flexibility than she did, I pivoted to industry where I could still grow my career, but off the road. Since then, I've always thought about my career decisions in the context of what would fit in my life. You'd never get a pet that didn't fit into your lifestyle. So why would you do that with your career? It just doesn't make any sense. Feel me? Okay. Okay, let's move on to number 3. My dad always told me never to sit in the back row. Make your presence known. When you're in meetings at work, the worst thing you can do is just sit there. You need to engage as appropriate in the discussions. You'll be graduates from one of the top undergraduate business schools on the planet. Suggest ideas, ask good questions, respectfully provide your opinions. These companies hired you for your minds, not your good looks. Don't just sit there. Sometimes you'll be right, sometimes you'll be wrong, sometimes you'll be the star, sometimes you'll be embarrassed. But the more often you do it, the better you'll feel, the more you'll learn, and the farther you'll go. And when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, I'll leave you with what Udanda said at an executive event in 2018. Silent allies are not allies. They're just people in the room. So speak up. Okay? Okay? Okay. All right, here's the 4th principle. If you want to be successful in business, understand people. Nothing gets done in an organization without people. Every company is made up of them. Tech companies, healthcare companies, retail, consulting firms, banks, all of them. The most important asset any company has is its people, regardless of what they say, period. So it doesn't matter what project you work on, if you're not taking the human element into consideration, you're going to miss the mark. The last principle is this. Tar Heels are family. We are family. We care for each other. We celebrate each other. We mentor each other. You're part of a community unlike any on the planet. So don't take it for granted. The magic of Carolina doesn't reside among its buildings, books, papers, and exams. It resides in our community of people. We are Carolina. We are Kenan-Flagler. Our duty, therefore, is to each other. When my parents walked out the door after moving me into my first apartment in Atlanta, and I cried hysterically because I was terrified about being on my own, who randomly called me to go hang out? A KFBS Tar Heel. When I was trying to return to EY in 2012, which partner helped prepare me for my interviews? A KFBS Tar Heel. When I set my sights on making partner at EY, what senior partner mentored me? A KFBS Tar Heel. So believe me when I tell you, the more you invest in this community, the more this community will invest in you. So that's what I've got for you today. Following the typical structure, I told you what I was going to tell you, I told you, and now I'm supposed to tell you what I told you. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, you are going to tell each other what I told you. So everyone stand up. Turn to a classmate or classmates. Go ahead. Turn, turn. All right. Look them in the eyes. Don't look at me, look them in the eyes. Raise your right hand. Quiet, 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 quiet. Raise your right hand. Look at your classmates in the eye. I'm really serious, actually, at this point. Okay? Repeat after me. I promise to never give excuses. I promise to strive to live a healthy life where work fits in properly. I promise to make my presence known and to speak up at work. I promise to treat other people as the critical company assets they are. Nice, that was good. And I promise to invest in my KFBS Tar Heel community as it invests in me. Now everyone turn back and look at me. I now end this speech in the only way I find appropriate. Tar! Yeah! Tar! Yeah! Tar! Yeah! Thank you. Congratulations.